Hey babe, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Christina DiStefano, and these are my lamp friends. I've invited along for this special KISS series where we keep it simple, sweetheart, and we address all of the different types of lighting that you could potentially have in your home, why you should have it, and how it can help you to create a space that feels a little more luxurious, a little more comfortable, cozy, soothing, relaxing, like all the things that you want your home to be through the power of lighting. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first type of lighting is overhead lighting, and this provides the overall illumination in a room. It can come from chandeliers, flush mounts, or recessed lights. The goal with the overhead lighting is to make sure that it illuminates the space without any harsh light. Task lighting. This type of lighting is designed for specific tasks. So say, for example, reading. I've got my reading lamp here, and I keep this next to the spot on my sofa where I like to sit and read books. So reading a book is a perfect example. If you have a desk, you have a task lamp there on the desk. Could be a floor lamp that arches over the table, or it could be a desk lamp, but that is an example of a task light. Also, the under cabinet lights this thing keeps moving. Also, the under cabinet lights like in a kitchen, or the lighting that you have under your kitchen hood is another example of something like that, like of task lighting. Accent lighting is used to highlight particular features of room, such as artwork. So the picture lights that you have over a piece of artwork is a perfect example of accent lighting. Accent lighting can also be used to highlight like architectural details or even plants. I even like the type of accent lighting that you have on the floor, where you have a little can light that light projects up. So it's a way to highlight these specific details and draw your eye to them. Accent lighting can be achieved through wall sconces, picture lights, as already mentioned, and also track lighting. Decorative lighting adds a sense of personal style to your space. Think of these like really decorative chandeliers, light fixtures, pendant lights, or even decorative floor lamps, like something that you see right here. This was something I purchased on Facebook Marketplace, but it's very unique. It's on like 3 legs, and it's a wrought iron lamp. I haven't found this shade for it yet. I actually kind of like it like this, although it's held together with a piece of black electric tape. But nonetheless, this is the type of lighting that can add some personality to your space. While they provide light to a space, the primary function of this type of lighting is to help carry the mood, or to be used as a form of decor within the space. Natural light is actually one of my favorites. So this is something that decorators keep in mind when creating a space. They look for opportunities to showcase the natural light or to enhance the natural light. So what you want to do to enhance the natural light could be strategically placing mirrors, or perhaps using sheer drapes to allow light to come through. But also take a look and use your artistic eye when looking at natural light, because there are other things that you can do to incorporate the light and like the reflection of light into a space, into your design. There are architects who actually will integrate the natural light and how it comes through a window and casts shadows onto the floor, or projects the light onto the floor. So there are really beautiful, interesting ways that you can incorporate this natural beauty into your home that are really like outside of the box. Don't forget about dimmers. So installing dimmers helps you to control how much light actually comes into the space. And by controlling how much light you are projecting into the space, you can then control the mood. Don't forget about layering with lighting, because I feel like sometimes we think, oh, okay, we have a lamp or 2 in a room, but really it's about creating light in each of the corners of the room. And then in addition to that, creating layers of light into the space. So for example, of like lighting those corners and layering that light, you could have a reading lamp by the sofa. You could have a decorative floor lamp like this one here, where we have by the fireplace. You could have picture lights on your artwork. And then I think, oh, and then you have the overhead light as well, providing like overhead light. That could then be like, if it were evening, I would put that on a dimmer so it's much softer. I do like to use an overhead light if it's a beautiful fixture. But then I take that way down on the dimmer so it's just a little bit of light, so it creates that kind of mood and that glow there. So I'm not against using the overhead light in the evening, but I want that on a dimmer and I want that down. So that way I'm creating this more like ambient feeling in a space. I'm creating that coziness. And also I just feel something about that kind of like warmer, low glow, and then layering the lighting around the room just creates a really beautiful, sort of sexy, moody kind of feeling. And that's how I want my home to feel in the evening, especially as we're entering into the colder months. Yeah, summer is over. So lighting is going to be really important because we're going to have less light and more darkness. So create that beautiful, warm, lovely light that makes you feel good, that makes you feel cozy, that makes you look good too, because that's the kind of lighting that definitely showcases all your attributes. This wouldn't be a KISS video if we didn't address the overhead lighting over a dining table. I feel like I see the wrong lighting all the time over a dining table because it's a little more nuanced. There is a formula to it, and that's what I'm going to break down for you. Number one, you're going to consider the size of the table. My sort of rule of thumb, my quick like visual gauge, I don't really use the tape measure as much as I probably should. Jerry gets on me about that all the time. But my kind of like visual gauge is to find a fixture that is about is no more than 2/3 the size of the table. So you're not going to, like if you were to see the table and break it up into threes, you're not going to want to go beyond 2/3 of that table. So roughly 6 inches from each side, you want the light to be within that space, but it's not taking up the entire space of the table. You want to have some space where it comes in, and that then creates the balance. Another thing, you want to consider your ceiling height. So for a standard like 8-foot ceiling height, your pendant should not hang down more than 30 to 36 inches from the top of the table. So you want to have some space there. So, you know, people are not, the light is not directly like over their head, but you also don't want it to be too far up to where you have this big gap between the top of your table and the bottom of the pendant. So 30 to 36, you'll want to look at it and kind of eyeball and see what feels proportionate to you. But that's the good rule of thumb, 30 to 36 inches between the bottom of the table, or excuse me, the top of the table and the bottom of your pendant. If your ceilings are higher, you can adjust that accordingly using that same 30 to 36 inches. You'll just likely need to get an extender for the chandelier. Another thing you'll want to consider is the style and shape. So you have a real opportunity with the chandelier or the light fixture that you choose to hang over your table to create some kind of statement. If you're using pendant lighting and you have a particularly long table, you may want to consider 2 or 3 pendants. So keep that first rule in mind, looking and kind of gauging, is it no more and no less than like 2/3 the size of the whole table? Because you're not gonna want one small pendant light like hanging like from the ceiling over a very long table. That's when you're going to want to integrate 2 or 3 perhaps to kind of take up that space to distribute the light. So if you don't have an overall like larger light above, then you're going to want to create that feeling of space and create that light, like the coverage of light over the table with using more than one pendant. You'll also want to consider the purpose and what you need in the light. Is it for dining in the evening? Then you'll want to have something with a dimmable, that is dimmable, because not all lights are dimmable. So you'll want to check that underneath the product details if you're shopping online. And if you're shopping in person, definitely ask your the person assisting you if this is something that could be attached to a dimmer. And lastly, you'll want to make sure that this fixture complements the existing elements in the room? Does it complement the table? Does it contribute to the overall style of the space? Does it enhance the space? That's what you're going to look for when you're thinking about an overhead light for your dining table, an overhead light in your living room. Does it enhance the space? And that is the point of lighting like that, as is the decorative lighting that you put into the space. Is this enhancing the space? Is this aligned with the vision that I have for this space? Or is there another lamp that could better serve the use? And on that note, I hope that you have kissed your lighting worries goodbye. And I hope that this helped you. Let me know in the comments if you have additional questions or if you have additional tips about using lighting. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. And also, by you liking this video, you help support me and this channel in a 100% free way to you. That goes a long way for me. So thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your week. Mwah. Want to have too much light coming in. Blah, blah, blah.